Hi everyone, welcome back to the Off the Bar podcast. My name is Brandon, and I'm joined with Ben today, and we are discussing NBA coming back. Seeding games are just starting today. All the scrimmages have passed, so I think now's a very exciting time if you're an NBA fan to really see what's going on today. The two games that we do have, the two games that are being played today are Utah versus New Orleans and the two LA teams, the Clippers and the Lakers, in the later game today. How do you think that Utah game is going to go, Ben?
It depends on kind of Zion if he's kind of both mentally and physically fit, ready for this game. So, because we've seen New Orleans without him play terribly, and we've seen Utah kind of rise to the occasion. Of course, there's still that idea that Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert might not be the best chemistry, might not have the best chemistry coming into this game, especially with the reports coming out. I know there was a joke like Donovan Mitchell like reportedly called him like a little Frenchman or something like that, but yeah, I think it really kind of depends on both if Zion's okay, especially coming back into the bubble after a whole family emergency, if he's mentally like there.
Right.
And I think also if Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell can put their kind of differences beside them and work for the team, I think that could work. I think personally the Jazz could win this game.
Now we're going to get to seeding in a little bit, where we think our final predictions are for seeding wise. Just based on player schedules, who's opted in, who's opted out, who's out because of season-ending injury or surgery that they had. So I really quickly, I just wanted to give, before I ask you this question, I just want to say that I do believe that Utah could win this game. I know they're missing Bojan Bogdanovic just because he did have season-ending wrist surgery, and so he has played a big role with them, for them. I think he's averaging like more than 15 points a game or something like that. He's been like doing really well for them. But they did well without him last year. I mean, Joe Ingles again is honestly
is the best.
Shut up. Is honestly he's been a really good player for Utah, so I would see him probably stepping up. With Jazz on the other hand, with New Orleans on the other hand. Yeah, like you said, it does go down to if Zion's healthy or if he's still not if he's healthy, but if he's good to come back. Because I don't know if he played in any of the scrimmage games. I don't know if he's still quarantined or not. I think it's just going to be interesting to see New Orleans try to restart with him in the dynamic, because they would before the restart they were just trying to get into. They were just trying to get a feel for him before the restart with the 11 or 14 games that they played with him in the lineup.
Right.
Now let me ask you this: before we get into seeding, do you believe that Zion could carry them to the 8th spot over Memphis?
Well, they also play the Blazers, I believe, or just Memphis. But it's a possibility. Again, we don't know, especially like we've seen kind of other, like we've seen soccer come back, and like in the Bundesliga, we've seen how there was a lot of injuries. They all kind of looked tired. They didn't look fit. We don't know kind of, I mean, the scrimmages are really good for people to get into shape, and I'm sure that like teams like Miami have had to give strict like protocol to go
Right.
into when they were quarantined. So I think yeah, I mean, we've seen, especially in the last scrimmage against Miami, we saw how good John Murray could be.
Yeah.
In this kind of bubble that's present. So I think Memphis might have it. I think Memphis might just edge it out just because they looked kind of better in the scrimmages, I think, than New Orleans. But I don't know. Again, it's all about Zion. If Zion can be productive, and if he can kind of cancel out Jaren Jackson Jr., then yeah, I think it'll be an easy win for New Orleans.
So yeah. Both the Trailblazers and the Pelicans are behind 3.5 games of Memphis, so we're just gonna have to see. Again, we're gonna get into seeding in a little bit. Now let's switch over to I want to say the more exciting game, right?
Well, yeah,
the more highlighted and marquee game is the Lakers and the Clippers.
Of course, the NBA puts this the first game.
Well, you
Like,
know,
didn't they do that
Yeah,
opening night?
yeah. It's marketing. I mean, they also
Yeah.
did it for Christmas. Like,
Yeah.
it's all marketing. It's to try to win back some of that revenue that they lost from the NBA having to shut down for 3-4 months. So with that being said,
Who wants to see OKC Thunder versus like the New York Knicks on opening night? Like that's a good point. Yeah.
do you want to watch Boston and Philly, or do you want to watch?
God no, not Philly.
But it's an exciting game because
Yeah.
like these are two like high profile teams, or the Knicks and Atlanta.
That's a banger game. Clint Capella versus Mitchell Robinson. Banger game.
Okay, so let's go back to the marquee game. Getting a little off track here.
I'm looking up highlights as we speak, so just.
Well, let's go back to the marquee game here, the Lakers and the Clippers. Obviously, the Clippers are going to be without Lou Williams, who got some banger wings from a strip club.
Hey, as my good friend Ron Swanson says, do not sleep on the breakfast on the breakfast layout in the strip club. Do not. It's free food. It might have HPV in it, but it's free food.
God.
And they still have Montrezl Harrell. They still have a lot of good players.
Right,
Bench,
and I
Landry
think
Shamet as
you're right.
well.
And I think the Lakers are still trying to figure out their guard situation, like we spoke about.
The idea that Mario Chalmers could be
Right, we spoke about it in a previous video about Mario Chalmers potentially joining them, and the fact that LeBron's now gonna have to take over more of a playmaker. And now, I mean, he's averaging 10 assists, but he also has to take over more of a playmaker duties just because Rondo's out, and the only guards that you really have coming off the bench are Dion and JR, and they're not the most.
They need to make a movie together. They need to make a movie. I would pay for that movie. The Adventures of Dion and JR into the Henny. Yeah, I mean, especially the point guard situation. They don't have Rondo. They don't have Rondo?
They don't have Rondo for some time. He did have an injury during the bubble.
They don't have...
I think he got like a hand injury that's going to keep him out for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
They don't have Avery Bradley because he opted out. I mean, Caruso has honestly been looking good for the during the bubble, during those scrimmages games. So like
during the season.
So yeah, I definitely believe that
he'll get more minutes. Definitely.
He'll definitely probably get more minutes. So yeah, who do you got in this game?
I'm gonna say, and I know it's gonna go against my prediction for kind of my before Corona prediction for the NBA, but I'm gonna say the Lakers got this one.
Yeah.
Especially with kind of LeBron seems to, and I know we see like all news coverage on him. Dude sitting on the bench eating a snack. He's vibing, I guess, but he seems to be in good. He seems to be in good spirits, and you also have AD who looks good. I know we haven't heard a lot about Kawhi Leonard. As you say, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Montrezl Harrell. Paul George looked pretty good. But I think, especially for right now, I think Lakers probably got this one.
Right, and I mean, obviously LeBron's still doing what he does. Like, oh no, Avery Bradley did join them. I'm an idiot. Oh wait, no, never mind. This was a game long ago. Never mind. I don't know what I'm saying, to be honest. I'm a little bit tired. So yeah, and if you look at I think just comparing the two rosters, I think LeBron is really out here trying to just prove that he's still dominant even if it's during the bubble. I do feel like I still feel like the Clippers do have a little bit of a disadvantage just given the fact that they've lost a few players.
Especially with Lou Williams.
Right.
He was our kind of write-in for 6th Man of the Year.
Right. And so now he's going to be out 10 games due to quarantine, or 10 days due to quarantine.
Due to quarantine.
Montrezl Harrell's not going to play either. Patrick Beverley is being quarantined. So it might be, they will definitely see if how they. It's definitely going to be an interesting game just because the Clippers are going to be a little bit depleted, and it's just going to see if Kawhi and Paul George can really step up and
Right.
lead this team.
And I think if you look at the schedule, because they have one of the easier schedules in the league, they have two winnable hard games against OKC and Dallas, and then they have the Suns, the Pelicans, the Blazers, and the Nets, which are all easy or at least all games that they should win. So maybe losing this game against LA because you have so many players out isn't a bad thing.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure, and I think, I think the Clippers do have pretty an easy schedule, so I would say when we get into our predictions that I think honestly, for them to maybe hang on to the 2 seed, will be fine. The Lakers, on the other hand, if you take a look at their schedule, they're playing Toronto, they're playing Utah, OKC, Houston, Indiana, Denver. That's a more of a harder schedule.
Yeah, they're probably projected to win all
Right.
those games, but yeah, that's definitely a harder schedule than the Clippers.
Right, but I still would think that they are. I still would think that they are probably favorites
Yeah,
to still hang on to the number 1 seed.
yeah, definitely.
So let's now get into our predictions for seeding wise. Again, like we mentioned earlier, we do. There are several teams eyeing for that number 8 spot out west, and if out east, there's only a few teams that could potentially get into it from the bubble that came from the bubble. It's really. Let's talk about the A seed for the West first, and then we'll go into the East first.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, Trailblazers and Pelicans are both 3.5 games behind Memphis to get that number 8 spot. I honestly would back the Trailblazers to make a big push here for that 8 spot. I would make a big push, especially if they're going to get back Nurkic. I believe they are getting back Nurkic.
If you look at their schedule, they have a really, really difficult schedule. They have the 5th hardest schedule according to strength schedule. But, you look at their... they can make a run.
Right.
Especially with the addition of Nurkic, who hopefully is fully recovered after that injury.
Right.
But, I think it comes down to can they edge out games against...
I know the Pelicans, who have probably the more easiest... Who I think...
They have the easy schedule.
Right. So...
They have 2 teams that are, I think, in the top 4 seeds, I think.
Right. And the Grizzlies, how tough is their schedule?
The Grizzlies have the 6th toughest schedule. Their easiest games against San Antonio, New Orleans, and Trailblazers, which 2 teams they already need to win against.
Right. So those are going to be 2 big games again, especially against New Orleans and the Pelicans, and the Trailblazers. I don't see them. If we're going to be completely honest, I don't see the Spurs or the Kings making a push.
No.
I honestly feel
bad for Papa now.
I do feel bad too, and especially since I think he wants to be more hands off. He's not really too particularly comfortable with the fact that he has to be in a bubble where he could be self-quarantined at home, making sure that he staying safe because he is one of the older NBA coaches that in the league. And then the Kings, obviously, they have more of a depleted roster. A lot of, I think a few of them opted out.
Yeah, Marvin Bagley, I think.
Marvin Bagley's injured.
Yeah.
I think there has been 1 or 2 players that have opted out. So
right.
I
think they're kind of
they're
one of the last ones. If they can get in, that's incredible.
Right. So, just to continue with our predictions, let's just do West first. Who do you got as the 7th seed?
Who's 17 now?
Mavericks.
Wow, I didn't think they'd be that far. They have a pretty decent schedule. They have to play the Suns twice, which isn't really that big of a deal.
Right.
They have the Kings again. That won't be hard, and they have the Blazers, which again that's a winnable game for them, especially if Porzingis can play. If Nurkic is healthy, then they have to look out for him. But I think I think they'll stay in the playoffs.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think Mavericks are going anywhere. I think it's just really up to the 8th seed.
Yeah.
Who do you think for the 8th seed?
The 8th seed for the West.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think if Zion is healthy, it's the Pelicans, and I'll tell you why. I love Dame. I think Dame is one of the best point guards that hopefully will win a ring. I
Yeah.
think personally, on paper, I know we said this in our last thing that on paper it doesn't matter. On paper, and we also look at kind of their form going into the bubble. I mean, they
Yeah.
were on fire.
Yeah.
I think personally, New Orleans, as much as Hassan Whiteside could show us,
Right.
New Orleans would probably beat those teams to get into the 8th spot. Personally, I think genuinely because of how great people like Brandon Ingram were playing, Lonzo Ball. I mean, again, Zion. So I think personally, the 8th spot. I think it's gonna come down to the Blazers or the New Orleans Pelicans.
Right.
I think Memphis has a chance, but they have a hard schedule, so I'm not.
Right.
So I'll probably write. That's why I'm kind of writing them off. But I think personally, New Orleans is just gonna get it.
Right. Okay. So let's move on to the 6th spot. Right now, I do believe it is. Sorry, just give me a second. Is the Rockets right now at 6? Do you think they're gonna stay there, or do you think they're gonna jump off now that their micro ball is here? That micro ball game is here. For them after trading Clint Capella, they have been doing well efficiently.
Russell Westbrook came back, right?
I do believe that they do have Westbrook and a Harden back for these games.
They have a really tough schedule. I'm gonna put it that way. I mean, they're kind of what the Bucks can not defend against, which are good shooters, and they have a good shooter in James Harden. They have they have a really tough schedule. They have the Bucks, the Lakers, 76ers, the Pacers, and the Mavericks, which
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do even lose to the Mavericks, especially if they have no one to defend against Porzingis.
Right.
So I could see them staying in 6th spot. I thought they were higher. I thought they were higher than the Heat for some reason.
Right.
But yeah, I think I can see them staying in the 6th spot.
All right. So
I don't see them jumping higher.
Rockets in 6. I'm gonna say the Thunder here. I feel like the Thunder they have a bit of a difficult schedule in my opinion. I think the fact that they've been doing well, and I think the fact that the Rockets have been doing well with this new micro ball thing, and the fact that they are gonna miss Eric Gordon, who's been like a key thing, but they do have guys like Ben McLemore. They have guys like Daniel House. I forget his name. They do have guys like Robert Covington and PJ Tucker to come off the bench and do well or start. I think, honestly, if you look at it, I think the Rockets are in pole position to maybe jump up 1 or 2 spots. I'm going to say the 5th spot, and I think they're just going to swap with the Thunder. The Thunder are going to be 6th, and that the Rockets are going to be 5th.
I mean, yeah, I can see that happening. I'm trying to stay a lot safer to like what it is now,
Right.
especially taking into credit that these players haven't played for over 100 days. Of course they're going to be physically probably broken.
Right, but that's why there was the scrimmage games.
Right, but still, I mean, 3 scrimmage games aren't the same as playing a full season.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally get that.
And look, we saw, we talked a little bit, we have talked about the Heat. We saw kind of at the end, they were really lacking from the fact that they didn't have, like, Tyler Hero or Myers Leonard. So this could be to benefit some teams, especially with players with injuries.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, fitness-wise, it could be really, really difficult.
Yeah. So, I guess let's go up to the 5th spot. Who do you got? Obviously, the Thunder are there right now, so who do you see staying at the 5th spot?
I could see kind of, like you said it with the Rockets, I can see the Rockets jumping the Thunder. I didn't know they had the same, record. But yeah, I think the Thunder, especially, they have a tough schedule. Their only easy games are against the Wizards, the Suns, and the Grizzlies. They have to play the Heat, the Jazz. They have to play Bol Bol, so they're gonna lose that game. And they have to play both LA teams. So yeah, I could definitely see the Thunder dropping after this one. I like what Chris Paul's done. I think
Right.
generally he should be in the top 5 for most valuable, because without him that team wouldn't be even
no,
close
for
to
sure.
playoffs. So I think they can drop a little bit, because I don't know if their kind of style of play would really fit to this kind of like fit to their schedule.
Now with the Mavericks, let's go back to the Mavericks real quick. With the Mavericks being a game and a half behind the Thunder and the Rockets, is there potential for them to maybe jump up there as well? Do you feel like?
Yeah. I mean, they don't have really a hard schedule. I mean, they
Right.
have to play the Bucks, the Clippers, the Jazz, and the Rockets. But after that, I mean, they could beat the Rockets because they could just feed it into Porzingis.
Right.
They could beat the Jazz, like we said, if the chemistry's bad. I don't see them beating the Clippers, the Bucks. But
Right.
there's potential there for that to happen, and even then, after that, they have the Suns twice, they have the Kings and the Trailblazers, all winnable games. Yeah, I think personally, the Mavericks, who have shown, like, especially Luka Doncic, has shown a lot of growth over the year. I think they could win. I think they can definitely get up into that, maybe even 5th. If the Rockets kind of flutter, maybe even 4th spot.
Right. Because right now, Utah has that 4th spot, and I think, like you said earlier, the chemistry might not be there. They are missing Bojan Bogdanovic. Who do you believe? Who do you believe could? Who do you believe could overtake the Jazz at that 4th spot?
At 4th spot,
Or do you believe, or could Jazz stay there?
and the Jazz have a good sizable lead on Mavericks, and
Right.
with the Rockets and Thunder, they're only a game back. I think they can probably fall a little bit. Again, they have a really tough schedule. The Utah has they have an easy schedule, kind of. They like half and half. Then they
Right.
play the Spurs twice. New Orleans, which could be a difficult game, and Memphis, and they also have L.A. Bobo and L.A. Bobo, Thunder, and Mavericks. So I think it might come down to like a shootout, especially with like the games against the Mavericks and the Thunder.
Yeah.
If the Thunder can keep their form and maybe kind of keep that kind of one game back, they can win. If they can win a couple games, and if the Jazz, I think the Jazz have a good fall potential here, because I don't know. Again, if that chemistry is gonna stay the same, then
Right.
I don't know. I really, that's really my defining thing for it. I know they lost Bojan.
Bojan.
You say Boban. That'd be scary, Boban and Rudy Gobert. But yeah, I think they have if they don't really play out fine, like if they don't play well on the court, then I don't think it's gonna happen. If they don't play well together on the court.
Right. So I honestly at that 4th spot, I can see the Jazz hanging on, but I can also see the Rockets potentially jumping up there as well. Maybe the Thunder potentially jumping up there just because they are kind of close in games, just being a game back.
Right.
And then let's talk about the top 3 in the West, and then we'll move on to the East. Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets. Do you have any issues with that top 3? Or
The Clippers have a good schedule. Lakers have a difficult schedule. The Nuggets are they're a couple games back behind they're a game and a half back behind the Clippers. I mean, I don't see the Clippers really messing up. So yeah, I think it probably stay the same.
okay.
I think because the amount of games the Clippers are behind the Lakers, I don't think they'll even try to catch up.
Right, yeah. Okay. So let's now move out east. Obviously, the 3 teams, or really one team trying to catch up and make it into the playoffs is the Wizards. Obviously, they are 5.5 games back from the Magic, so it is an uphill battle from here. Do you see the Wizards hopping in?
No.
No? Okay. I
I'll
don't
be
either.
completely honest. I like Bradley Beal. I like Rui
Yeah.
Hachimura. No.
Yeah, no. So I think all right, cool. So I think we're both in agreement with that. Magic and Nets at 8 and 7. Their Magic are a half a game back from the Nets for that 7 spot. Do you see them switching?
I can see them moving up. I think the amount of players that Brooklyn lost,
Yeah.
I think that's going to take a huge toll on them. I mean,
Right.
they had to sign Michael Beasley, and then he got sick. So I think personally, yeah, I think a Magic. I think they kind of kept the same squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Magic probably are. They're probably gonna stay.
Right.
They're probably gonna go up. I think.
So, in my opinion, I do feel like that is going to switch. Just the Nets and the Magic. I think the Nets could be an A spot just because they have a lot. They aren't with some of their big players, and they are just due to the virus, due to them opting out. The Magic. I think they pretty much have a full strength squad. If I'm not wrong here.
Yeah, they don't have that hard of a schedule either.
So yeah, I honestly can see them moving up to the 7th spot. So let's now do 4, 5, and 6. 6 is obviously Philadelphia. 5 is the Pacers, and 4th is the Miami Heat. Where do you see them finishing? Because I honestly feel like the 76ers could move up potentially to that 5th spot, but I feel like I know Miami does have the most difficult schedule, but I do feel like these are teams that Miami has beaten in the past. I know they have to play Boston, they have to play Indiana, they have to play Milwaukee, I do believe.
They have to play Milwaukee, Toronto, Boston, Bobo,
Indiana. Right. So there are teams that
they have a really difficult schedule.
Right. Miami does have one of the more difficult schedules, but I do believe that they could potentially. But these are teams that they have beat. Obviously not Boston, but they are playing teams like the Indiana, who have some of a depleted roster. They are playing the Suns as well, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, they're playing the Suns. It's their only easy game.
Right.
I'm looking at it right now. They have the second hardest strength of schedule. So,
right.
Yeah, I think really the one key difference I think is that the 76ers might jump, which is going to suck because that's going to be a really good game. But I think if you're going to look at kind of difference, they're both on 39 and 26 the Pacers and 76ers. So I think, I think that 76ers could jump because they have the second easy schedule because of course they do. But yeah, I think they can jump, definitely.
Okay.
But I think Miami will probably just hold on to that 4th spot.
Right.
Just because they I mean, let's be honest, they're probably going to lose against the Bucks.
Right.
They're probably going to lose against, I keep calling
Right, but the Bucks, Toronto, Pacers, these are teams that Miami has beaten in the past.
I'm not saying that they won't, that they go for sure lose. I'm just saying they'll probably lose to them. Like, of course, look, I don't think they're going to lose against Indiana. I don't think they're going to lose against Toronto.
Right.
Because Toronto has the hardest schedule.
Right.
And I think they're going to be depleted because they have to face the Lakers, the 76ers, the Heat, the Bulls, and
the Nuggets.
The Nuggets, thank you.
The Nuggets, not the Bulls.
Hey, in like 10 years' time, they're just going to change into the Bulls.
Alright, whatever.
Greatest Heat legend of all time.
Oh my gosh, shut up. So yeah, I definitely feel like there is potential for Miami to maybe fall to the 4th spot and 76ers to jump up from the 4th spot to the 5th spot, and the 76ers to jump up to that 4th spot. I do also believe that it could be it could be that the 76ers jump up to that 5th spot. I think it's gonna just really be based on that schedule and how well each team does play. And now let's go finally do the top 3 in the East. We have Celtics, Toronto, and Milwaukee. I think obviously we can both agree that Milwaukee is pretty much going to stay as that number 1 seed. However, Celtics and Raptors, the Celtics are 3 games behind the Raptors. You said the Raptors do have one of the more harder schedules.
No, the strength schedule, they're the hardest one. And Boston have the 17th hardest, where they only have to face the Raptors, they have to face the Bucks and the Heat. They've beaten the Heat before. I don't know if they've beaten the Raptors before. Beaten the Raptors, the Bucks before, but yeah, they have an easier schedule than the
Bucks. Right.
Bucks.
So, is there potential for Celtics to jump up to that 2 spot, being 3 games back?
I mean, it's a difficult climb. I think when you're going to see with Toronto that they're going to probably need to eke out wins against the 76ers, the Nuggets, and again the Celtics. I think if they can win kind of 2 or 3 of their harder games, I think they'll probably be fine.
Right.
But I don't know. It's a really difficult, especially coming back from. That's why I don't like doing predictions, especially for this bubble, because you don't know how
well they're gonna play. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the scrimmages gave us some good indication, but then again, a lot. teams did use a lot of their bench players and a lot of rotation players.
Yeah.
Just so that way they can kind of keep everyone fresh. Um, yeah, I do feel like the Celtics do have potential to jump up, given the fact that Toronto's schedule is a little bit more difficult. It is more difficult compared to theirs. So if I would have to make up predictions for East, and I'm going to do the West, I will go Milwaukee at 1, Celtics, Raptors, Heat, 76ers, Pacers, Magic and Nets. Ben, how would you look at it?
I think probably the same. I'm gonna say the Raptors hold on to the 2 spot.
Okay.
Just. I think
Okay.
a game or half a game back. I don't think it's. I think it's gonna be so incredibly close.
Right. All right. And so for the West, I'm going to go Lakers. I'm going to go Clippers, Nuggets, Rockets, Jazz, Thunder, Mavericks. And then I'm going to go with the Blazers at that A spot.
Okay.
How is your standings looking at?
I said New Orleans at 8 if Zion's healthy. If not, I think the Blazers would. If Zion can come back to the form that he was before, yeah, I think it has to be. I think it's going to be the Pelicans, and I think Thunder at 6 or 7, because I think either Mavericks or Rockets start to jump. So then, if they're at 7, I think it's Mavericks Rockets for 6 and 5, and then Jazz at 4, Nuggets at 3, Clippers at 2, Lakers at 1. I think the Jazz are probably going to fall.
Yeah.
And I said this before. I don't know. I can't really predict how far they will. So I think they'll probably fall. I don't know how far.
Right. I think with some of these, I think it's apparent that some of these teams aren't going to do as well.
Right.
And as well as they did during the regular season, and as well obviously not having a full strength squad and having issues with that. Having issues with players playing in a bubble when the pandemic's happening and being just overly cautious, which should be the next, which should be. Yeah, it should be that way, being overly cautious about this. So, with that being said, that is our final predictions for the seeding games for the NBA. The NBA is back. It's something to be very excited for. I know we saw scrimmage games, but honestly, I'm very excited to see how well these teams are going to play when it counts for playoffs, and I'm very excited to see how they're going to do. How they're gonna do the things like the draft and things like the lottery, just to see.
They should remember when there was a report that there was like the 8 teams that didn't make it were gonna fight it out.
And like another Cleveland, like or something like that.
You deserve to go to Cleveland.
Oh my god!
Like whoever wins gets the first pick draft.
Like whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I definitely think it's going to be very interesting. I think it's also going to be very entertaining. I mean, we haven't seen basketball in.
To be honest, I just need Ernie Johnson back on my screen. I for some reason the funniest thing in the world is that they the 3 basketball players don't talk about basketball. And when Ernie Johnson tries to talk about basketball, they all start doing other things. It's the greatest, the greatest show.
So yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy this episode. Make sure you do like and subscribe. Let us know what your predictions are for the NBA seedings. Are we correct? Are we not? What do you? What factors didn't we take into account? Is there going to be an asterisk by whoever wins the title? We'll get into that once the playoffs do kick off. I hope you guys did enjoy again. Stay safe, and hope you guys have a good